Hey there! I just got off a Zoom call with a brand new client of ours, and I won't mention his name, but he just started with us, and on the first conversation I had with him, he said, I just got scheduled a perfect job interview. I just got an interview for what I believe is my absolute perfect job. Now what do I do? Okay, so actually it is as simple as 4 easy steps that you have to make sure that you cover in your interview for your perfect job. Hey there, Tammy Cabell from Career Resume Consulting, and today I want to talk with you about not being overwhelmed when you get a call for your perfect job. Now this happens and your heart beats fast, your mind starts racing, and you don't know where to even start to begin to research this, to get ready for it. How do you prepare for a high stakes interview like this where it's all, you know, what can you put together as far as the first impression, the final impression, and everything else in between? How do you put that together? So today I want to talk with you about the 4 things that you need to have in your perfect job interview. All right. So if you can boil it down to these 4 things, as long as you know these 4 things, you are going to be so much more ready for this than any other competition, than anyone else they may talk to. So I want you to be very clear on these 4 things. So this is the point where you're taking out pen and paper, or you're starting to write down notes. All right. So the first thing you need to know is the first 5 minutes of the conversation. No matter how long the conversation lasts, the most important number of minutes is the first 5 minutes of the conversation. Now, I'm assuming you did a great job of branding yourself. You've got a wonderful LinkedIn profile. You've got a great resume, and that's all behind you. Really, what you want to focus on now is making sure that you absolutely nail this interview. So the first thing is, how do you introduce yourself? Now, I've got several videos actually that talk about the first 5 minutes of what do you say when you answer the question, tell me about yourself. That's a really good video. And really anything having to do with, this is the first thing, this is how to begin every interview. So take a look at those. I'll put the links in the description so that you can look at those other videos. I do recommend though that you have very clearly exactly how you're going to start the conversation, even down to the small talk that you're going to talk about before you start the conversation. So make sure that you have something to do the small talk on that can either flatter them very specifically or that can bridge some kind of commonality between the two of you. That's the first thing. Second thing you want to make sure of is your questioning strategy. Now that may sound a little weird to you because you might think, I need to know how to answer questions, but first you need to know what questions to ask them. You want to focus around what challenges they have, what aspirations that hiring manager has for the year, the next year, 3 years from now. Where does he want to take the division, the company, the team, depending on where you're, what level you're going to be at. So you really want to know the questions that you're going to ask him or her. You also want to know, number 3, is the answering strategy. Those are, let's say it's a 30-minute conversation. In 30 minutes, you can get out 3 really great, impressive stories. What are those 3 stories going to be? Start to write that stuff down so that you know what you want to say as far as examples of your accomplishments that would tie directly in with this job requisition. All right, so take a look at the job description, draw a straight line between the job descriptors and your experience. Make sure that with anything that they ask, you've got an example story to tell where you would start out and answer very general and end with a specific story. By general, I mean, oh yeah, actually I've done that every week for the last 6 years. In fact, just last week I was ... and then you go into that story. That's how you start general and end with a specific story. All right, so that's 3. Now, number 4 is how to end it. What question or questions are you going to ask the interviewer before you end it? And I don't want it to be what are the next steps? It's too passive, way too passive. I want you to be much more assertive. So think about, what would the next step be if you passed this step? Would they want you to talk with a colleague of theirs, perhaps a peer of theirs? Would they want you to talk with a team member to find out what the team's going to be like? So think about, what would be the next step if I got into this hiring process and they loved me? What would they want me to do next? And then ask them a question about that. Would you like, at the very end, would you like me to talk with anyone else, maybe a peer of yours or a colleague? Would you like me to talk with any of the team members? Something like that. And so think about what that next step, what that ask is going to be at the end. Now, every salesperson knows you can't sell anything if you don't ask for the sale. I want you to consider yourself a salesperson. You are selling you. You are the product. You are the service. And I want you to sell it. I want you to sell it really well. As a matter of fact, think about this. You got to sell yourself as if you were your own spouse or as if you were your own best friend. Because if you were to be asked to pitch your spouse into a job or your best friend into a job, that would be easy, right? It's harder to pitch yourself because you're supposed to be, you're not supposed to be boastful, but this is the only time that you really have to be boastful. So I want you to consider, if you were pitching your spouse, if you were pitching your best friend, what would that sound like? But that's you. So pitch yourself as if you were pitching your best friend or your spouse. And that means you need to be really clear on what you bring to that position and make sure that that other person knows it. The person that's interviewing you, make sure they understand very clearly what you bring to the position that other people don't. All right. I hope this has helped you. This is Tammy Cabell with Career Resume Consulting. Thank you so much for watching today. I look forward to hearing about your experience and your success in the comments below. Thanks. Have a great week. Bye now.